This week we've had an incredible week with it being Christmas and all of the meaning and love and experiences that we've had. It's just been really a wonderful week, and in all of that, I got caught up and really didn't start thinking too much about what I was going to talk about today. I knew it was going to have something to do with starting the new year off and getting a good direction, right from the start. But wasn't sure where I was going to go with it. And then last night, Kathy and I were sitting down watching a movie, and most of the time we would have turned that movie and gone somewhere else because it was kind of cheesy, it was kind of corny, real syrupy, but there was something about it that just kept us, into it. It even had commercials, and we usually, if there's a commercial, we're gone. We go to Netflix or something and watch commercial-free TV. But this one had 15-minute commercials in it. It was bad. But we kept watching it, and at the end of the show, I looked at Kathy. I said, what was this? What was it about it? Well, this movie was a Christmas version of Groundhog Day with, who was that? Bill Murray, I think, was in that, where the day kept repeating over and over and over again. And this was a New York executive, a woman from New York who's an executive who she had a lesson to learn, had some love to find, or something to happen in her life, and so she kept repeating Christmas Eve. Now on Christmas Day she was supposed to fly back to New York and get back onto her life. Well, she'd wake up in the morning and it'd be Christmas Eve all over again. So it kind of got a little corny with all of that, but the lesson that I think kept Kathy and I involved in the show was every day, even though we're not repeating the same day over and over and over again, every day offers us the opportunity to start new. It offers us the opportunity to create something else. Now, it does not matter whether you have the most perfect life of anybody ever on this planet or the worst life of anybody ever on this planet. You can create new. Now, obviously, if you have a horrible life in your eyes, in your opinion, if your life is just terrible, you want to start over. You want to start something new. There's choices that you can make. But the people who have a really good life sometimes kind of get stuck because I've got a good life. Why do I want to change? Well, I'm going to challenge everybody who has a good life or a bad life to make some changes, because we can always live a more spiritual life. And that's what I'm going to challenge. My challenge to me, as well as everybody else, is to make 2015 a life lived spiritually. Now, we know that God is ever present and always creating, always expanding, always elevating. So then should our life. We should never be satisfied. And I have a quote here from Nelson Mandela that sums this up beautifully. There is no passion to be found in settling for a life that is less than you are capable of living. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. There is no passion to be found in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. No matter how good your life is, there's always another step. Now, this isn't all about staying busy. This isn't at all about denying what you have accomplished. That's not what this is. What this is, it's like the crew who wants to climb to the top of Mount Everest. Each step of the way, they get a whole new view of the world. Every step up, their horizons broaden. Every step up, their horizons broaden. When they get to the peak, their horizons broaden again. Now, there might not be another step on that trail, but they have seen more. And when you do that, you are seeing through the eyes of your spirituality. When you can see more than what's just right here. You see deeper. You see further. You know that you can get more. You know that you can live more and experience more. And that's what 2015 is all about. Now, each step of the way, we might have this plan of, I'm going to take steps A, B, C, D, and E to get to my goal. Well, that's great. But the way you make this a more spiritual journey is be mindful of what step A is. Don't just take it blindly. What is it? What meaning is it? What inspiration do you have to take that? What power are you bringing to it? What feelings and emotions are involved in it? What metaphors? It's just like we talked about a couple of weeks ago, the birth of Christ. There are so many metaphors in that. You go so much farther than even what the Bible talks about when you look at the metaphors and the mindfulness of that act. That's what step A can be, and step B can be, and step C can. And then what you've got, instead of you just hitting a goal, you have been on a journey. You have had an experience, and you have accomplished way more than you set out to accomplish. That's what living a spiritual life is all about. Now, part of living a spiritual life, or moving forward in your life, or creating something new, we have to set intentions. You kind of have to have an idea of where you're going. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. I love that quote. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. I don't know who said it first, but I'll steal it for now. Any road will get you there. But if you do know where you're going, you have to set some paths. That's where your intentions come in. Your intentions involve more than just, we talked a little bit about it. I started early today, and we talked a little bit about a new car. If my intention is to have a new car in my life in 2015, great. I will not sit here and tell you not to vision for that. But what is that new car going to do for you? It's going to provide a reliable, safe transportation from point A to point B. What does that do for you internally? Well, that brings peace. There's a peace about going from point A to point B that you might not have had with your current mode of transportation. What does it say about you that you can experience that peace? This is where we go. This is where you find out what you really want. One of the things that I did when I did this process was I found out that, I don't remember what the goal was, what my end result was, but what I found out was that by accomplishing this task, I felt trusting. That was trusting of me, it was trusting of other people, trusting of me enough to know who I could trust. It was a pretty big thing to feel this trusting. And that acted as a guide. We talked about the bowling alley. I think we did it before we started the talk. If you think about a bowling alley, if it's just got the gutters, the ball can go off in a different direction. Well, when you start filling in what this path means to you, for me on that one was trusting. I build the bumpers in so if the ball goes off track, if I get off track, I'm kind of just bouncing back in. I know it. I have an indicator that tells me that step didn't allow you to be fully trusting of yourself or anybody else. Maybe you need to back up. And then I've got a choice. I just step back into the direction that I'm going. It adds a deeper experience. And it builds. I am now, I don't know how many times more trusting than I was when I started this journey. There was a time in my life I didn't trust anybody, including me. And now it's pretty hard for me not to trust somebody. So, finding out what you truly want, and that's what we call, that process is called, what do you want? What do you really want? It's not just the car. There's something underneath it. Well, that's the same for anything. Finding that out is huge. Now, we're coming up on the new year this week. And tradition tells us to set resolutions. Resolutions, the meaning behind those is to get rid of something, let go of something. It means that something doesn't work that we need to resolve. Well, guess what you get when you start focusing on what you need to resolve? More things to resolve. What you focus on, you draw to you. So if you want to be healthy, but your main focus is on losing weight, chances are you're going to find ways to put on more weight, or you're going to find more ways to lose weight without making any progress. That's right. Our energy goes to that. That's where we're stuck. So what I'm going to suggest, and in fact, I'm going to just tell you, I won't tell you to do much, but I will tell you this year, don't make resolutions. Set intentions. Set visions. Intentions, the reason I like them so much, and I'm going to read, like I always do, I go to Webster, and intention had several things, but the biggest definition that for me, the one that made the most impact, was an aim that guides action. So if I set an intention for that car, I am creating an aim. I'm creating a direction. I'm not just out here going, man, I'm going to go over here today and hopefully that'll get me, that didn't get me to a car, so let's go over here. I'm going to set my intention. My intention is focused on my goal, my target. Now I've got my target. I've got those feelings that are underlying that. So I've got my bumpers in place. Man, all I got to do now is take action. Throw on that ball. And each day I take action. I wrote a book. It's called No Excuses, No Limits, Just Results. And it was all about reaching goals, setting intentions. The first step in all of that is awareness, and that comes in a little bit with finding out what those underlying feelings and emotions are. But it also brings in awareness that you are perfectly capable of reaching any goal you set, reaching any intention, traveling any journey that you decide. This morning as we were reading our invocation, it talks about it right here. We talk about being in the presence of pure being, immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. We acknowledge the presence and power of God as being in us. We are in that wisdom. And then we ask, in your wisdom, erase my mortal limitations. Now get that, mortal limitations. We can't ask to erase our spiritual limitations because there are none. When we are living the spiritual life, there are no limitations. The only limitations we have are mortal. They come with this body, and we can overcome that simply by choosing not to let them stop us. We go to the spiritual. From your pure substance of love, bring into manifestation my world, according to your perfect divine law. Well, when we are living a spiritual life, perfect divine law happens. We allow that to happen. That doesn't mean that there's fate, that we don't get to choose that new car. You know, that doesn't mean that there's fate out there saying, okay, this is all you get. Perfect divine law is when we live our spiritual life, when we live according to our connection with God. When we are there, when we can find that contentment that we talked about in our meditation this morning, when we can just be content and know that we are one with God, know that we are the Christ mind, that's fulfilling divine law. And in that, everything is possible. We have to let go of the mortal limitations. We have to let go of all of those thoughts that we're not good enough. We have to let go of all those thoughts that we're incapable of doing that. We have to let go of all of those thoughts that we're not where we need to be. You know, whatever it may be, we have to let go of those. Our thoughts, our beliefs, they're constantly creating, just like God is constantly creating. When we align our thoughts and beliefs spiritually, we create the life that we desire. if we let our thoughts and beliefs just run rampant, we don't tune into them and we don't become aware of them, we create the life that many of us are trying to get away from. Financial distress, whatever, pops up. So we have to align with the Christ mind. We have to align spiritually, and then all else works. Because we are, in truth, we're already aligned spiritually. We just have all these human mortal blocks that keep us from seeing it. We let go of those. We release those, and we come into alignment. So being aware, which is the first step of any goal or intention reaching process, being aware of who we really are and what we are capable of doing, is the first step. That is the power. That is the strength. After that come many things. There's 7 steps total, and I'm going to just read them off to you. I was going to talk about them, but I got carried away on some other things today. So the awareness is the first step. Imagining without limitation is the second step. The third step is to commit to the process. And that's not just commit to reaching your goal, that's committing to living a spiritual life. The next step is to create how that's going to turn out. How are you going to make that happen? Commit first, then create. The 5th step is follow through. The 6th step is gratitude. And the 7th step is elevate and expand. And we're going to talk about these in depth as the month goes on. I'm pretty convinced, unless I'm led otherwise, January is all about building a thought process, a belief system, and a practice of living spiritually so that you can create the life that you desire. So that's where we're headed this month, and I hope you all like that. I hope you all are on board with that, and if not, we'll talk about something else, but I think that's a really good place for us to be. Thank you for being here today.